Politics.
As Israeli
Facebook now allows politicians to
anyone,
pay.
including a politician.
North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
We do not want war with
Welcome to
China.
the White House,
When
everybody.
Barack Obama launched his
The thing that
political
only makes
career.
Republicans more tribal.
Are you running? I am officially running for President of the United States.
15 rules that every politician has to play by. Politics is a vicious game. Some liken it to chess, but a way more brutal version of the game, lacking any rules, boundaries, or morals. Perhaps the last two parts are true, but the idea that the game of politics has no rules is an illusion that only those who have never played the game might think. The rules of politics go back a long way, to the first man we know of to lay the philosophical layout to political rivalry, Niccolo Machiavelli. In his world-famous book, The Prince, which he published in the first half of the 16th century, Machiavelli gave his advice to any prince who is seeking to dominate on what rules to play by. What Machiavelli wrote almost 500 years ago remains relevant today, and not only politicians but also celebrities and business people are guided by it. In this video, we'll cover the 15 core rules that politicians play by. Number 1. Reputation management. As a politician, you need to make sure that people see you in the right light. More importantly, you have to be in control of the switches. A good politician has to give out an aura of restricted ruthlessness. That means that they should embody enough powerfulness and perhaps wrath as to guarantee obedience, yet not with the level of viciousness that would eventually bring people to despise or hold grudges against them, which might then bring them together or bring him or her down. Since that equation is not as easy to reach as you might think, we learn from Niccolo Machiavelli that if the ideal balance of love and fear is unachievable, it's better for a ruler to be feared than to be loved. Number 2, mastering the art of ruthlessness. Ruthlessness and intimidation are weapons that very few people know how to deploy without having them backfire or failing altogether. We see politicians, mob lords, even people in show business committing acts that are meant to intimidate but end up being struck with revenge or public disgrace because they didn't know when exactly to do it.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country, you run CNN, and
Others might act ruthlessly, yet in a way that doesn't exactly link the act to its purpose. Such acts of ruthlessness have to be carried out when they're least traceable so as to not be stuck to the politician's name, yet clearly enough as to send the right message to the right person. More importantly, they have to avoid offending the wrong person. Number 3, not feeling too passionately towards people. Successful politicians don't let their feelings towards anyone grow out of control, whether these feelings are good or bad, and whether these people are friends or enemies. They don't trust a friend enough in a way that will allow them to be used by that friend, nor do they hate an enemy so blindly so as to miss their points of strength. A master of politics would know how much exactly to trust a friend and how to use their opponent's strengths and weaknesses alike to their own benefit. Number 4, not being totally committed to just one side. Political ups and downs are often unpredictable and always rotational. Today's ruling party can be tomorrow's opposition and vice versa. The leader of a nation can be its number one traitor overnight. To avoid going down when the downturns come, politicians try to attach their strings to multiple players in the game, so if one of them fell, they aren't too attached to the loser so as to take the fall with them. Their positions are ambiguous enough to allow them to stand with the survivor. Number 5, concealing intentions. You can't strike and succeed if your strike was predictable by everyone watching you. Politicians do their best to keep their intentions from everyone around them, including their closest friends to whom they only selectively expose these intentions. Excessive blabbering is not among any powerful politician's traits. If you keep the majority of your ideas to yourself, you not only become unpredictable, but also add a layer of mystery to your character that most people tend to find attractive. They want to be around to know what else you've got, but it's your job to not let them find it. Number 6, luring people to take the first steps. Politicians take the initiative without making the first move. How does that work? Well, basically by throwing baits. You don't go to people, but you make them come to you. And in the meantime, you have everything planned, and them coming to you puts you in full control over the situation. Like a fisherman. By stirring up the water, you attract the fish, and only then do you strike. Number 7, making others dependent on you. A perfect example of a politician whose every move is an exemplification of this rule is Russia's strongman, Vladimir Putin. Now, if you look at how Putin has run things in Russia since he came to power 18 years ago, it's by selling his name as the bedrock that everything on the country stands on. He has the businessmen, the provincial governors, security officials, and leaders of the federation's republics all depending on his person, knowing that without him leading the country, all of their interests will be in jeopardy. That way, he can rely on each of these interest groups to try and preserve his reign over Russia, which brings us to the next point. Number 8, make others do the work for you. There's not a person in the world that can achieve great things with their solo effort. Such grand achievements are only possible if you are capable of capitalizing on other people's work. That's what Thomas Edison, the cunning businessman, did with Nikola Tesla, the hardworking innovator. Instead of doing the work himself, he gained credit over Tesla's work. Steve Jobs is another example. Jobs didn't do the coding himself, but he knew who to take under his wing. In the field of politics, where someone is trying to influence large institutions or perhaps whole states, no one stands a chance doing it on their own. Number 9, say less than you're planning to do. We all see these things in the world that we want to change, but while most of us waste our time and energy arguing about what should be and getting into heated discussions with our opponents, politicians know that this isn't the right route. Arguing and getting into verbal clashes raises your opponent's alertness. If you want to make a change, you need to catch them off guard by lowering their resistance. That will only happen if you keep your ideas and plans as silent as possible. Don't argue too much and don't threaten often. Number 10, branding yourself as a scarce gem. There's one thing that can cause the greatest detriment to a politician's value, both in the public sphere and among their associates. That is being too available at all times. Being exposed is one thing, but getting too caught up in the limelight will only gradually lower your value. A politician wants to remain familiar to the public, but by adding a layer of mystery to their character and by offering their words and actions in small trickles, they can ensure that whatever actions that come out of them are always well calculated, eventually getting people to ask for it rather than pushing it on them. Number 11, creating an aura of unpredictability. Being unpredictable to both your allies and your opponents can always win you an edge over those around you. If everyone can expect your next move, you'll have people riding on top of it and others trying to hinder it. Denying them that ability will empty the road in front of you, allowing you to run freely while only allowing the other people to react to your moves, keeping them at all times at least one step behind you. Number 12, knowing when to declare your defeat. Most of us are quick to boast about our victories and insist on denying our defeat. And the moment we win a battle, we go through the rest of the war with a smugness that can bring us down. A crafty politician realizes that downplaying their victories can work to their own benefit, and more importantly, they know when exactly to admit that they have lost. They might even do so deliberately without really having lost, because they know that it can buy them some time to gear up when they're not sure of an immediate victory, and when victory comes, they know exactly when to withdraw with all of their gains before their arrogance gets the best of them. Number 13, knowing weaknesses, embracing strengths. If you want to lead people or influence them, you need to study their characters. Know what makes them strong and embrace it, but also know their weak points and let them know that you do. This way, you can make the bargain. If they remain with you, you'll nurture and respect the best in them, but that if they drift away, you'll know exactly where to hit them. Number 14, being your primary source of information. The downfall of many politicians came when they began relying on their narrow circle of cronies to know what's happening on the ground. The people around you might have countless reasons to misinform you. They might want to preserve your good mood with delusions or influence your decisions to their own benefit, but against yours. A politician, no matter how high in the hierarchy, has to get out and find answers firsthand. They have to hear all voices and read from all the sources, those in support and those in opposition, those who are prospering and those who are suffering. Number 15, ethics will only hold you back. The last point can answer the voice in your head that might be telling you that only the lowest breed of human scum would abide by the rules we just mentioned. While most non-political people look at politicians as liars, deceivers, and downright despicable human beings, Machiavelli taught us that ethics had no place in the conduct of a prince who wants to be effective. The ends justify the means. What matters most is what you're working to achieve, because if you concern yourself more with how you do so, you will allow the people with worse ends in mind to get ahead of you. Machiavelli thought Christian values and political values cannot intersect. This idea might help you understand why politicians, even the good ones, might act in ways that we might find immoral or even disgusting. We're done here, guys. If this video helped you see politics through a different lens, share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Knowing how to win and work things to your own advantage in such an adverse arena like that of politics is, without a doubt, necessary for you to rise and shine in any field. If our video helped you learn how to do so, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button to know whenever we post any new videos. See you in our next video. Until then, here are some other videos that we recommend you watch next.